Welcome back to Platypus Scotsman. Hope you're having a fantastic day. If this is your first time with us, welcome. Hope you enjoy the video. First off, I'd like to thank those who have subscribed to the channel and helped us reach 1,000 subscribers. That was awesome. We did it last week, and it was on Friday the 13th. And it's actually a full moon that day, so that's pretty cool. And also, I'd like to thank those who have supported us on Patreon. Very much appreciated. It's going to go a long ways into making better videos and supporting this channel. Anyway, so this video is about some obelisks. I've want to do some obelisks. I've done obelisks before. I did them on a floating earth that I did about 10 years ago when I was with the terrain thralls. And I've done other things like that too, but kind of jumping back into it because this piece that I found some reference art for has obelisk on it, and it's actually part 2, and it's going to be with, the part 1 was the drums, and so they'll both go together once they're on the completed piece. There's also going to be a few more tutorials for this that will all tie together. But yeah, so let's go. The obelisks I'm making are going to be part of the drum set. As far as the overall piece, this is just another phase of that. What I did is I glued 2 pieces of foam core together, drew some lines, straight edges, cut them out. This is just a simple way that I've made molds in the past that are throwaway molds that I'm not going to duplicate over and over. And then I got some parchment paper that I'm going to put down just because it has Teflon in it. And just clamp them together. I have plaster Paris. This is the medium I'm going to use to make the material out of, or the obelisks. That's why I run the tool along the edges just to make sure they're in the corners and there's no real major air bubbles. Not that I care if these are perfect or not, because I don't care if they're perfect, because I'm going to work with them and whittle them down. These are dry enough now. I'm going to take the clamps off and I'm going to cut these out and hopefully not break them in the process. So one of the ways I like to do it is I just like to find a place kind of in the middle here, and I'll come down here in the middle here, and then slowly kind of pop that apart to where I'm just pulling this one side off. Or in this case, because I put that on there, that was an unexpected goodie. I did not expect that. So that's nice. I forgot I did that in just a day. So that was good. That's interesting. I wonder if I could use that somewhere. It's the first time I've used that, so that was good. And then I'll just try to work these out without breaking them. Don't want to break them after the effort. And I don't care if there's a little bit of this in here. I can just take this off, and I plan on whittling this down anyway. Even after this period of time, it's still a little bit moist. It has not dried and cured all the way through, so it's still easy to work with, just because it's been trapped and it hasn't had air all the way around it. So I can start to work this with my X-Acto knife, so that's good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to trim this away and just kind of smooth it out with my X-Acto knife. One of the things you want to make sure you do is go over every surface with a blade or a tool like this, so nothing is smooth or nothing is from the mold, so it all has the same types of features on it. And you can go, and once you start getting down to the shape you want, you can start pressing lighter and not as heavy, so it kind of still has the scuff marks in it, but it doesn't have really deep gouges. I'll wait to sand the bottom until they're completely dry. Another thing you can do is use a wire brush, and kind of, if you want to give it some texture, you just kind of pound on it a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to do the rest, and then I'll get back to you. All right, so this is messy. Yeah, I started to put more character into them other than make them smooth. So I just used my X-Acto knife and kind of made some lines in them, like so. Because I was thinking when I paint these up, if they're really smooth, they're not going to be able to show a lot of texture or a lot of variation as far as like edges and cuts and grooves and things like that. So I decided to add more texture to them. I just think it looks cooler. So what I've done now is I've gotten all the obelisks to where I want them to be, and I've cleaned some Games Workshop skulls and different things. And now what I want to do is I want to make little cubbies for them. What I mean by that is I just want to make a little place to I can drop a skull in or two on the size of this. So I'll clean out a spot like it's been carved out or something. So something like that, and I'll make more, and I'll put all the skulls in, and I'll glue some skulls on top. But that's kind of the idea. I want some poles on the back of the obelisk, so I just got some sticks that I purchased from a hobby store. And when I say hobby store, I mean like a craft store. And I whittled these 4 down already. So all I did was, with the X-Acto knife, is I just made sure I cleaned the just kind of randomly gouged away at the corners mainly. And then once I did that, I would come down the sides just to kind of make sure it's not even all the way down, and just be very random about it. And then once I did that, I would just kind of whittle away at the side, at the flatter side just a little bit, just to make it look like it's been worked on and just give it character. So when you paint it up, you have edges and highlight, not edges, well yeah, you have edges that you can highlight easier, and it's just not one smooth piece like it came out of a craft store. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to finish doing this one, and once I do that, then we'll attach them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some beading wire, gold, silver, doesn't matter. I use 24 gauge. You can just pick it up where people have bead supplies. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these and just wrap the beading wire around it like it's wire or metal or something like that. It's pretty flexible, pretty easy to work with. And it's just to give the illusion that there's something there that I can attach things to. Like in this example right here, the skull. And I first used thread, but it wasn't prominent enough for me. And that's what that has behind it. But I like the wire better, so that's what I'm changing it to. And then once that's on there, just put some super glue on there. And just kind of move it around. So it adheres and glues everything. Not a lot. And then just do that. And once that's done, I've cleaned some skulls down here. And I can take this. Oh, you also want to check the height to make sure it's not going to be behind that. So that's good, right? That's good. A good height right there. And just throw some of that on there. Take a skull. Okay, what I did is a little bit trickier, but I made a little loop on the side, a little bit smaller than the back part of the head, and just put the jaw through it and just did it like that to where it looks like it's actually been adhered to that. But I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I like it better. I mean, I could make loops in the tops of the skulls and weave them through there, but for time's sake, I'm doing this. But yeah, there's all kinds of ways you can think of and be creative to attach this. And then once I'm done with that, I'm gonna stick it to, or adhere it to the back of this with glue, and then put a clamp on it. Now when I do this, I don't want the pole or the stick or whatever you want to call it behind it. I don't want it straight up and down. I want it off to a little kilter to one side a little bit, just to kind of once again give the whole situation a little bit more character, so it's just not all straight up and down lines and things like that. I put some lanterns on a couple of them, and I'll reference the video that I make them in. I did on a couple. So now what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start doing glyphs or hieroglyphs or whatever. Just going to start putting little markings in them to simulate that, so when we paint them they'll show up more. No rhyme or reason as far as how to do it, but I want a really fine tool to do it, and I want to make them fairly deep, just so they'll show up better when I go to paint them. This part I didn't film just because it was such, my fat fingers would have been in the way and you wouldn't have saw anything anyway. So what I did is I took some twisted mason line and I wrapped it around this obelisk, and I just tied a square knot in the back. Probably could have tied it tighter, but anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put some glue on it so it doesn't come apart. I'm also going to put some glue behind it so it stays where I want it. And I'm going to do the same over on the sides so it stays where I want it. Just going to glue it around. And then I've painted string and things like that before. And once you get like primer and paint on it and let it dry, it stiffens up good enough to be usable. I'm going to paint the base coat of the stone. And this gray is a hippo gray. And then I have a burnt umber. And then I have an iron oxide. The idea is I just want to mix the colors together so it's not just a solid gray, and then I will do washes afterwards, or shades, or I'm old school, so I call everything a wash. What I'm going to do now is use Known Oil to go and just give a shade or a wash to all these, and then let them dry and go from there and see what we want to do. But I do want the stonework on this to be dark. I'm going to use Antonio Camel Shade just to do the green at the bottom for like plant growth and things like that, just to give it more depth. I'm going to go back and dry brush with Hippo Gray. I'm not going to be really heavy with it. I just want to kind of start from the top and work my way down, see how it rolls, see how it goes, goes, whatever. I also went along the bottom with some purple, some Drucci Violet, just to kind of darken it up a little bit. I'm going to go back with some Cabinet Gray and just highlight some areas a little bit more. Just make some of the divots and some of the glyphs and edges pop a little bit more from a distance so you can see them better. I'm going to use XV88 to paint the rope and also the wood, and then I'll come back with some glazes on it after that, or shades, or if you're as old as I am, washes. What I'm going to do now is use Agrax Earth Shade, and I'm going to go over the rope and the wood. And if the first coat isn't dark enough, I'm going to just do multiple coats until I get it dark enough. The rope, I'm not going to go too dark, but I want the wood darker than the rope. I'm going to use golden brown to start the highlighting process on the rope. I'm just going to start at the top, and then as the paint dries, or just taper it down. I want the top to be the lightest, so that's where I'm starting. All right, I'm going to dry brush sandstone on the wood. Not a lot. More towards the top or the point, just to bring it out more. Definitely not do it in here very much. I want that to be dark where it's wrapped around. I went ahead and painted all the skulls, sandstone. There's a myriad of colors you can paint that are out there from different companies that you can paint skulls. And now I'm going to go over with an Agrax Earth Shade, all the skulls, and then let it dry and see how it looks and go from there. I like to get a little bit more of the shade above the eyebrow just because I like that look. I finished painting the skulls, went back with some sandstone again, just highlighted, then I brought some of the parts up with white. And now I painted the lanterns black. Oh, one thing I also did here too is this was Scotty Khan's idea to use a little corn red or some red that would kind of exemplify that maybe these skulls were put in the cubby holes when they were still had flesh on them. And just over time, the skulls became bleached, but the rock was still stained. So I thought that was a good idea, so I did that. And now what I'm going to do with the lanterns is I'm going to put Fire Dragon Bright inside just to see how that works out for now. Not sure if it'll work, but we'll see how it goes. But I painted the outside black. I painted this lead belcher metal, or bolt gun is the old stuff. I went and did a Known Oil wash and then an Agrax wash on it. Came back with some mithril silver, tells you how old my paint is, and just kind of touched up a little bit here, hit some gray on here. That's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. All these rings, just jewelry rings. You can go in the jewelry section of a hobby store or a craft store and get some jewelry rings. You can use sheet styrene for this part. Anyway, I'm calling them good. Well, that's it on the obelisk. A couple things. One thing I'd probably do is I'd probably coat the obelisks with Mod Podge beforehand. Maybe put them on something that doesn't stick, because the Mod Podge will run down and stick to a surface. So maybe something like parchment paper or something like that. Probably do that, because when you start putting washes on it, if you haven't worked with it for a while, it could soak in, and then if you put it on a surface that may be tacky, when you pull it up, it'll pull the bottom paint off or whatever's down there. So I'd probably do something like that. I worked with the material a lot, so it's a known thing for me, and I know the beast that I'm working with, so it's not that big of a deal. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any critique, let me know as well. If you like it, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed and this is your first time or whatever, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel and see the things that we're going to produce in the future. Also, if you think this is material that is useful and that's beneficial and that you've gotten something out of it, think about becoming a patron on Patreon and supporting the channel and helping us grow and do those types of things. Oh, we're on Instagram as well, under Platypus Scotsman, and that's where we're going to start posting more of our finished pictures there. We're going to start doing Blogger or Blogspot, Platypus Scotsman. We're going to start doing that. That's going to be more of kind of an everything or a catch-all. If we have whips and miniatures or whatever, we're going to put there. We'll still put our videos there as well. So that's something too. We have our Facebook, which is Platypus Scotsman. If you want to follow us there, it's a page. We also have a group, which is Platypus Scotsman Lounge. And we also have Twitter. We're all over the place. Anyway, so whatever medium you or tool you use, we're in a lot of those locations. We'll post our videos and all those except for Instagram. That's more of a picture-based situation. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was something worthwhile. Like I said, this is phase 2 in this project, so I'll continue on down that path and get more produced. But I do have some things I'm going to interject that I'm working on as well. So that'll happen too. That's pretty much it. I hope you have a good night and hope everything's treating you well. And my mother used to always tell me that anyone can do art, and I truly believe that. Ciao.